What makes a great city building game? Here are 15 of the best city building games of all time. From chilly medieval sandboxes to brutal survival colonies where one wrong move means total collapse. There's something here for every kind of builder. So grab your hard hat, flex those urban planning muscles, and let's build some cities. Released in early access in 2019 for PC, Foundation is a medieval city-building sim that reimagines urban planning with an organic twist. Instead of placing roads and zones like most games, Foundation lets your village evolve naturally, with paths forming based on citizen behavior. There's no deep narrative here, but that's the point. It's you who creates the story as your villagers grow from a humble hamlet into a bustling feudal economy. You'll need to carefully balance supply chains, assign jobs, manage resource production, and trade strategically to keep your city afloat. Build too fast without enough food or tools, and your population could spiral into chaos. Taxation, upkeep costs, and citizen happiness are all part of the bigger act. RimWorld begins with a crash landing. 3 survivors find themselves stranded on an alien planet, and it's up to you to build a colony that can survive the chaos. Originally released in 2018 for PC, the game takes place far in the future, where each planet grows on its own. Over time, some civilizations flourish and push the limits of technology, while others collapse under the weight of war, famine, or plague. While not a city builder in the classical sense, RimWorld shines in its simulation of society and infrastructure. You design your base from scratch, managing food, power grids, defense systems, and even psychological well-being. The game throws random events at you, including raids, plagues, mad animals, and many more to keep the experience dynamic. What if humans vanished and beavers took over city planning? Timberborn runs with that idea, giving players a surprisingly deep and creative city-building experience, where you manage industrious, post-apocalyptic beavers. Released in early access in 2021 for PC, the game's city building revolves around verticality and water engineering. You're constantly shaping rivers, building dams, controlling drought cycles, and stacking buildings atop each other to make the most of limited space. It's like a puzzle, where your economy depends on water access, power generation, and efficient layout. There's no scripted plot, but the setting and environmental focus give it a distinct tone. Beavers aren't just cute, they're hard workers who need food, shelter, entertainment, and community. Transport Fever is for those players who love logistics as much as they love skylines. Transport Fever 2, released in 2019 for PC, focuses more on the arteries of a living world: railroads, airports, shipping lanes, everything that connects a city. The campaign mode offers historical scenarios that let you shape the growth of infrastructure across time. You start in the 1850s and progress into modern day, watching your transport network evolve from horse-drawn carriages to high-speed trains. Gameplay is all about optimizing routes and supply chains. Raw materials need to be delivered, goods distributed, and people transported, all while keeping profit margins in check. Though the city building aspect is more indirect, your transport systems fuel the growth of towns around you. Banished throws you right into the wilderness and expects you to survive. Released in 2014 for PC, this medieval-themed city builder is all about managing a small group of exiled travelers. As they attempt to rebuild society from nothing, there's no fixed campaign or narrative. The game is pure sandbox survival. The moment you start, you're racing against the clock. You have to build shelter before winter hits, grow food before your people starve, and pray you don't get hit by a disease outbreak. City building here is brutally realistic. One bad harvest or fire can lead to population collapse. Gameplay focuses on resource production, workforce allocation, and supply balancing. There's no money in Banished, only labor and raw materials. Every citizen counts, and every decision matters. SimCity 4 redefined what it meant to build a living, breathing metropolis back in 2003. It remains one of the most iconic and complex city-building sims of all time, If you're into zoning, taxation, urban planning, and managing everything from schools to sewage, this one is a classic. City building in SimCity 4 is layered and strategic. You zone residential, commercial, and industrial areas, then manage utilities, public services, and traffic flow. You can build interconnected cities, each with different purposes. Every city you build tells its own tale. Though it had a steep learning curve, critics hailed SimCity 4 for its realism and depth. At first glance, Kingdoms and Castles looks like a cute medieval sandbox, but don't be fooled. Under the blocky, charming visuals lies a surprisingly strategic city builder. Released in 2017 for PC, this indie gem gives you the power to build towering castles, manage economies, and fend off Viking invasions. City building here is all about smart layout and defense. You'll construct farms, houses, churches, and barracks, while carefully planning for disasters like plagues, fires, and dragon attacks. Balancing food production, happiness, and military strength is key. If your villagers aren't happy, they'll leave. If your defenses are weak, your kingdom burns. There's no deep plot, but the game tells its own story through the rise and fall of your kingdom. Politics meets city planning in Tropico 6, released in 2019 for PC and later consoles. This installment lets you step into the shiny boots of El Presidente, the dictator of a Caribbean island nation. This time, the game introduces a massive improvement to city building. You now have archipelagos. Instead of managing one island, you now build across multiple, connecting them with bridges and ferries. You'll manage housing, trade, infrastructure, and public services, while dealing with rebel uprisings, superpower pressure, and your own shady ambitions. The gameplay blends humor with serious micromanagement. Want to boost your economy? Export cigars or host tourists? Want to stay in power? Rig elections or build a police state? You can live the life you want in Tropico 6. Dwarf Fortress is a legendary indie game which was first released in 2006. This is one of the deepest simulation games ever made with city building at its chaotic core. You lead a group of dwarves to establish a fortress underground. Every dwarf has emotions, relationships, and skills. You'll mine tunnels, build halls, manage food and drink, craft goods, fend off goblins, and watch as your fortress slowly or suddenly collapses into madness. City building here is brutally complex and endlessly fascinating. You're not just placing buildings, you're carving an entire civilization from stone. The economy, social dynamics, and even architectural design are all interconnected. While the original ASCII graphics turned many away, the game earned critical acclaim for its absurd depth. Going Medieval takes the survival town builder formula and drops it into a post-apocalyptic 14th century, where 95% of the population has been wiped out by plague. Released in 2021 for PC, this game combines city building with colony survival and base defense. You start with just a few settlers and a patch of wilderness. From there, you construct wooden houses, stone fortresses, and underground stockpiles. The game emphasizes vertical design and lets you build true medieval strongholds. Every villager has needs, moods, and individual backstories. You must manage food, research, climate, and threats from raiders. Want your people to survive winter? You better have enough preserved meat and warm clothes stocked. With regular updates and mod support, it continues to grow stronger. Set during the Industrial Revolution, Anno 1800 blends traditional city building with deep economic strategy. Released in 2019 for PC, this game includes complex supply chains, population classes, and trade networks. Layering them over beautiful 19th century visuals, the game's campaign introduces you to the world of old money rivalries and ambitious expansion. You start with farmers, slowly unlocking workers, artisans, engineers, and investors. City building is driven by production efficiency. Your town must produce soap, fur coats, canned food, steam engines, and more. You also have to manage workforce needs and global trade routes. Later, you'll even establish colonies to supply exotic materials. Anno 1800 is praised for its depth and large-scale economic city building. In Against the Storm, the rain never stops. Set in a dark fantasy world plagued by eternal storms, this city builder was released in 2023 for PC. It challenges you to rebuild civilization in an unforgiving wilderness, one settlement at a time. You're not building a single city here. Instead, you build temporary towns as part of a larger campaign. You manage 3 species, humans, beavers, and lizards. Each has their unique needs and skills. You have to take care of food, fuel, hostility from the forest, and the queen's ever-ticking impatience. Rain cycles drastically affect production, forcing you to adapt constantly. Its originality, pacing, and replayability with stunning visuals has made Against the Storm one of the most innovative entries in the genre. Ever wondered what city building would look like through a Soviet lens? Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic, deals with the mechanics of planning an Eastern Bloc-style economy, released in early access in 2019 for PC. This game is one of the most complex economic sims out there. You don't just build houses and roads, you control entire production chains. Want to make clothing, grow crops, transport them to factories, generate power, manage fuel, and assign workers to each step. City building here is tied directly to logistics. Power grids, supply routes, public transport, and workforce allocation all shape your republic's success. One broken truck line can bring an entire economy to a halt. While there's no story mode, the experience itself becomes a sandbox narrative of communist industrialization. Desperation fuels every decision in this survival city builder named Frostpunk. Developed by 11-bit studios and released in 2018 for PC and later consoles, it's a harsh test of moral choices under pressure. Set in an alternate 1886, where a volcanic winter has devastated the Earth, you lead a band of survivors trying to build the last city on Earth. Coal, food, and medicine must be managed constantly, or people die fast. Every building's placement affects heat efficiency. You manage heat, hope, and hard laws. Will you allow child labor to keep production running? Will you execute dissenters to maintain order? City building is tight, centralized, and constrained by the freezing cold and moral dilemmas. One of the most hyped city builders in years, Manor Lords brings medieval realism to an entirely new level. Set in a realistically grounded medieval world, you play as a lord trying to develop a thriving settlement. You also have to protect it from bandits and rival factions. Unlike grid-based games, construction here is in freeform. Villagers build roads naturally, and buildings comply with the terrain. City building here is heavily tied to the seasons and agriculture-based economy. You'll rotate crops, raise livestock, tax villagers, and build trade routes. Warfare plays a role too, with real-time battles where unit positioning and morale matter. Fans love its authenticity and attention to detail in mixing city building, economy, and RTS elements like few others have before.